Good evening, everyone. We're going to begin this meeting of the Gallatin City Council Committee. It is 6:01 on October 24, 2023, and we'll begin tonight with the roll call. Ms. Kittrell.
Vice Mayor Love.
Here.
Councilman Carter. Councilman Fan.
Here.
Councilman Fennell.
Here.
Councilwoman George.
Here.
Councilman Hayes. And Councilman Juvance.
Present.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Before you this evening, you have the approval of minutes from two meetings, the September 26th meeting and the October 10th Council Committee meeting. Motion to approve
Second.
by Councilman Hayes, second by Councilwoman George. Any additions or corrections requested? Okay. None requested? Okay, all in favor of approving the September 26th and October 10th meeting minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are unanimously approved. Now we'll go to public recognition. This is the only period in the meeting where you have public recognition this evening. So whether you want to speak to an item that is on the agenda or is not on the agenda, you may do so at this time. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. We ask that you give us your name and address, and that is for the record. And now public recognition is now open. You may come forward if you desire. All right, I see no one indicating that they wish to speak, so I'll declare public recognition closed and proceed on to mayor's comments. There are several events that I want to speak to this evening, just so that you're aware that they're happening, because it is that time of year. First of all, on the 26th, which is going to be Thursday evening, there's a special needs truck or treat at Gallatin High School. This weekend on, well, I guess it's Thursday and Friday, the 2023 Old Hickory Shootout and Fishing Expo at the Civic Center from 12 to 8 each day. And then this weekend on the 27th is the Trick or Treat at Rosemont from 5 to 7. That's Friday evening. Then on Saturday, we've got the Halloween Harvest Market Day at the Gallatin Farmers Market 9 to 1. The last Miracle League of Gallatin baseball game at Triple Creek Park at 10 a.m. The Community Superhero Day honoring first responders at Southwater Manor from 10 until 2. The Shootout and Fishing Expo continues from 10 a.m. to 5 on the 28th. There is the dedication ceremony for the Garden of Eternal Freedom at Crestview Memorial Gardens. And to help you understand what that is, several years ago, efforts were begun to reinter several individuals that were buried out on TVA property, and they were moved from around TVA up to Crestview Memorial Gardens. And so that dedication with the memorial and the celebration for those individuals will happen on Saturday, the 28th at 12 p.m. at Crestview Memorial Gardens. It said this event will celebrate the opening of the Garden of Eternal Freedom with words, music, song, and dance. Memory Garden is the new home for 5 historic cemeteries that TVA relocated from the Gallatin Steam Plant property and highlights the historic Odom's Bend community. The dedication ceremony will commence in the Crestview Funeral Home with a walking tour of the garden to follow. So I think that's a lovely effort that's happening this Saturday, and everyone is welcome to attend. There is a Touch-a-Truck or Treat at Triple Creek Park from 12 until 2 on Saturday. There's a Fall Festival at the Gallatin Church of God Prophecy on Broadway from 4 until 8. And this Saturday is the inaugural Boo Bash for the Gallatin Daycare, and that happens at Sycamore Springs. That begins at 6 p.m. On the 29th, there is a Faith Kids Trunk or Treat at 639 Southwater Avenue. And then on the 30th, the City Cemetery is doing their monument unveiling. You'll recall that several years ago, we used ground penetrating radar to identify unmarked graves that were in the cemetery there. And we identified that there were several hundred burials there. And we have installed a monument in memory of those people, explaining what that part of the cemetery is about, that there are hundreds of people buried there. And so that celebration is going to be, along with the monument unveiling, at 9:30 on the 30th. Then on the 31st is trick-or-treating on the square from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. And then that evening, you can expect trick-or-treating all over Gallatin. We do not have a meeting next week, so I'm going to proceed with some more events, just so that you are aware. There will be the community colleges, Vol State Community Colleges Complete the Dream event happening at Epic Event Center at 5:30 on the 2nd. Breakfast at the American Legion on the 4th. Also on the 4th is the Sumner County Veterans Rally and 5K at Triple Creek Park. That starts at 9 a.m. And then on the 9th, which we'll be back together before then, that is Ms. Hy McCauley's birthday. And then city offices will be closed in observation of Veterans Day on the 10th. I think that is all. That is a lot. I certainly do want to recognize that this past weekend, the Gallatin Parks and Recreation held their evening Miracle Park game. That was the first ever. They had a cookout. They had fireworks. Judging from the video that I've seen, it was quite the event, well received by those who participated. My congratulations and thanks to them. I didn't get to go. We actually had the Chamber Gusto Gala this weekend, which was another stellar event. I think that concludes Mayor's comments, and with that, we're going to move along to the regular agenda. And item number 1 is discussion of solar street lights in the Nexus development. And yes.
If I could add something on the events around Saturday morning, there is the annual turkey shoot for the Shackle Island Fire Department.
Oh, okay. Well, that would be not something that would show up on the Gallatin calendar.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
you know, because we all work together and
Okay. Well,
including, so I
all
wanted
right.
to mention it.
well, that is Saturday morning. So back to item number 1, which is solar street lights in the Nexus development. James Fenton is recognized for that.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. James Hunt with the Economic Development Agency. We've been working with the Nexus Development Coulter Group, and they would like to have solar lights throughout the development for aesthetic reasons, and also their thought is just make it more eco-friendly. And we've had several installed. The police have gone out and taken pictures of them. We had a good discussion today during our department head meeting about them, and I think the thought was that as far as safety is concerned, you know, while they're on, that there's sufficient light. But there are some other questions that came up, and just answer some of those and address those. I've got with me Joshua Gibbs with Coulter, and Joshua, you want to kind of come up, and he's got a presentation.
Well, thank you all. I appreciate y'all's time, council members, as well as you, Mayor, for allowing us to present our solar streetlight options that we currently have at Nexus. So, obviously, we currently have about 61 solar streetlights in the active adult sections, which are private roads, and they will continue to be placed throughout the development as it continues to move forward. Right now, we are a partner with Solar Light, which is a company based out of Florida. They have solar street lighting that ranges from the Caribbeans all the way into Canada, so they have a different array of windows of light and daytime and nighttime, and so they are very popular, and they're a very well-versed product. Recovered Energy Technologies is the actual manufacturer and the installer of the streetlights. They will be the company that the HOAs or the Property Owners Association will have their agreements with when they continue to install the lights. These solar streetlights can be utilized for many different things as far as where they're located: residential streets, boulevards, parking lots. They've even been put on bridges, security, perimeter lighting, amenity centers, sports courts. So they have the versatility to be implemented pretty much wherever you need them to be because of the actual specifications that are used, because there's no wires on these poles. As you can see right here in one of the subdivisions that Coulter has done, it's Sonero Village. And you can see ample light, aesthetically looks great. When the power grid goes out, they stay on, and they stay on all night. They also do applications on boulevards as well for the commercial applications. So the light fixtures on the lights can be a different wattage. You know, the ones that we have out there are 32, and they can be brought up or brought down, dimmed or not dimmed, and motion censored. So they're very versatile in the applications. We took these a few months back when we started implementing them. We had to make some adjustments in the lights, but as you can see, The light that it throws out is, I think, more than ample enough to cover the minimum looms that engineering requires or the Gallatin Department of Electricity would require for street lighting and pedestrian safety and public safety and things of that nature. Just a couple of more images, as you can see. There's houses on that cul-de-sac, by the way. It's not just dirt anymore. The good thing about the specifications of the poles is that they're rated for Category 5 hurricane winds and rated up to 155 miles per hour. So they're very rigid, very durable, and they're direct bury poles versus a street light that is put on a concrete pedestal. And they're very rigid, very strong, and we're confident in their abilities to withstand. Obviously, you can see the picture that this was a hurricane down in Florida, and the lights are still standing. So basically, the request tonight is for the city council to allow us to implement these lights on the public residential roads, as well as any access or private commercial areas within, the Nexus community. There is no cost to the city of Gallatin or the Gallatin Electrical Department for maintenance, repairs, replacements at any time. And the maintenance and repairs and replacements are paid within the Commercial Property Owners Association or the Residential Homeowners Associations. Currently, we are projecting about 300 lights on the active adult area. And we would like to go ahead and implement them on the north public roads, which would probably take us over 400 to 450, residential lights within that area. But I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, concerns or comments, and try to address them. Yes, sir.
2 days without sunlight, what are they gonna look like?
Well, that's a good question. And 2 days without sunlight, they will be on. Currently, right now, the batteries are registering. It's taking 2.5 to 3.5 hours for them to fully charge. And they're only using a capacity of approximately 18 to 30% of the battery for the power to stay on for 13 hours. So the shortest day in December is December the 21st. It only has 10.7 hours of sunlight. On a 9-hour day, if you take off 30 minutes for the dusk until dawn, if you on a 9-hour day, it would only take them 2.5 to 3.5 hours to fully charge. And like I said, they stay on for 13 hours. They can stay on for 12 hours. You can modify them to come on at a certain time or turn off at a certain time, and they can do that all via the cloud. Most of the repairs that will occur on the lights will be like the light will go out, there's a issue with the battery or the solar panel's not charging. Well, what it does is it sends a signal down to the hub office, which is down in Florida, and the technician gets online and they diagnose the problem and they troubleshoot. It's all web-based. But in the event that something hits a pole and gets knocked over or something like that, it also notifies them that the light is not working, and we'll have a local liaison here that will come out and remove the pole and set another pole and do all that for no cost to anybody, really. It's no extra cost.
Brightness is good
Sir?
at 5 o'clock in the morning as it is at 12 o'clock at night.
Say again?
Is the brightness, the light? Is it as bright at 5 o'clock in the morning as it is at 12 o'clock at night?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just to kind of, the LED light is a 32-watt light. And how they're charged, it's a 400-amp panel that has solar modules on top and the bottom of the panel. So when it's charging from the sun, it's also getting arrays from the ground that is charging them as well. And like I said, it only takes 2.5 to 3.5 hours on a cloudy day to charge. Now, on a day that's the summertime, it's probably going to take a little under 2 hours to charge. But they assumed worst case because of the winter up here and how cloudy it gets. But if we had 30 days straight of clouds, they would still operate the same way that they do as if they didn't have clouds.
Is there any local we could look at if we wanted to?
Yes, sir, there's 61 lights out there at Nexus right now. You could go drive, take a look at.
I don't know anything about, about this, of course, because this is not my field. But before we approve it, I'd like to know what GDE's opinion is.
As long as, they wanted everyone to know that they would have nothing to do with it. They, repairs, maintenance, none of that, that it's not under their
They
purview.
feel like it's a viable solution, or, I mean, is it?
Not really their area of expertise either.
Right, and, they were invited tonight. Mark's at a conference, and the second command couldn't make, but I think if they'd really felt strongly about this, they probably would have made sure somebody was here, or you would have gotten the information. I can ask him to send an email, if that would make you feel more comfortable.
Feel like, I mean, maybe it's not their expertise, but it sure is more than mine.
Well, I feel more confident having researched this some about the ability for it to do the lighting, and that was my initial concern. But now my concerns have shifted and actually added on to tonight, Mr. Gibbs. When you were talking about it being controlled by a company in Florida, I'd be curious, like, what does the annual contract on that look like? Like, what is the homeowners association going to be paying annually once, the developers are gone? What kind of cost is that? And then how long do the bulbs and the lights and the poles and the panels last? And then what's the cost to replace them? Because the feedback that I have gotten is that they don't have the longevity that our traditional electric-powered lights do, and that they, I don't know the cost. I'm not going to say they are expensive because I don't know. And so I just worry, you know how homeowners associations go, anybody that's been in them, that's a cost that they don't necessarily plan for, and then, I don't know.
Well, to answer your questions in regard to the life of the poles and the equipment and everything, and if that has any more bearing cost on the homeowner. So this is a 20-year contract, and therefore, for 20 years, at no cost to the homeowners, will they pay for anything for repairs, maintenance, replacements, anything like that. Now, it's a lease. We lease the lights, and the dues through the HOA, a portion of that goes to pay for these lights. I think it's approximately around $230 annually per household a year. And it's very insignificant when you have that quantity of homes in that area. 1,351 homes is a lot of homes to spread that cost out. So for 20 years, if something goes wrong with the pole, the poles are aluminum or they're a composite, which is made of Kevlar and fiberglass and other specific items like that. And if there's an issue, then the company in Florida or the local technician will come out and fix it, and it's not an extra cost to the homeowners.
At 20 years, I mean, because I just foresee some future administration and council and engineering department being really angry at this one if we didn't provide for what the future might look like when that 20 years is up, and that company, and say that company goes out of business between now and then. I don't know, it's just something very unfamiliar to us, and I don't want this to land on taxpayers, and I don't want it to land on the homeowners with astronomical costs that they're not prepared to cover. Because you said there's about 300 lights just in the
South.
active living area.
ma'am.
Like, I would feel more comfortable with the, commercial folks having to keep their lights up, but 20 years goes really quick, and those homeowners are like, what, when the bill comes due.
So in 20 years, the homeowners will be able to renew the contract with the entity, or they can purchase the lights at fair market value and have the repairs run through the local technician.
What does that fair market value look like?
Usually, let's just hypothetically say,
Years?
let's hypothetically say the pole costs, round numbers, $5,000. Well, in 20 years, there's going to be depreciation every year, and therefore that pole's probably going to be, I don't know, maybe less than $500 with the equipment on there. And in 10 years, we don't really know how far more advanced the solar applications will become because how far they've come in the last 5 years. I was reading about, solar panels and lights being like down in the Caribbean and how in the past they use acid-based batteries and now everything's lithium. Tesla's, everything is lithium. And them being able to utilize the lithium batteries decreases the amount of problems that they're going to have with the charging and everything like that. But I can see your hesitation in the application of this because you're trying to think of the future, and I admire that, and that's what mayors do. I just know that Coulter wouldn't sister or support or support a product that would cause, future issues down the road. They have looked into this for quite some time now, years, and their position, our position is it's just a great opportunity for the city of Gallatin. In Middle Tennessee, nobody's doing this. This is going to open doors through the city of Gallatin for the other uses of these lights. And not to sell more lights, but to show that Gallatin is becoming and utilizing green energy because we have a responsibility to the future, population. And yes, it's not a big impact, but it's a start. And moreover, the use of these lights in the primary residential on the public roads, we went ahead and put in the conduit for the streetlights for GDE. We went ahead and put it in there. We've done an as-built of where they're located. So in the event in the future, in year 20, they're like, we don't want these lights anymore. Then the homeowners association, through a reserve account, can pay for the city lights and have them installed, and we don't have to go in and rip up roads, redo conduit, anything like that. We went ahead and put all that infrastructure in just in case, All we're asking is the opportunity to get an agreement with the city, allow us to assume full responsibility on the public roads in the residential portions as well as the access for the commercial portions, and let y'all see how well they work. I wouldn't come up here and request this if I didn't believe in the technology nor our abilities to ensure that we are going to do the right thing.
I understand. I'm not going to put you on the spot with the company, but would you mind sharing that with us? I mean, you don't have to here tonight, but sending it to me. I'd like to know more about the company that has
Sure.
the technology and the control and, who they are, where they're from.
Be happy to. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
How long has your company been in business?
Coulter's been in business since 2008.
How long has they been in the solar business, I guess I should ask.
I know they've been doing it for the past 3 years.
Pretty
As far
young.
as, yes, sir. 3 years in the applications of using these solar lights.
Do you have any cost estimate if this don't work, what it's gonna cost to replace it with traditional lights?
I think there was approximately like 35 lights on the north section currently right now. And when you add in the cost of the light, and I don't know, it's 180 grand, $200,000.
Did I understand right, $230 per household?
Annually, yes, sir. That's within the due, yes, sir.
That's the
within
total dues. It's not,
That's a portion of the
oh,
due.
it's not gonna cost each household that much, right?
We don't anticipate, well, the lease purchase is set. It's every month for how many lights go up, you pay per pole. So as they continue to be installed, the HOA will pay, whatever that month is, plus how many lights they put up. And then there's only so many lights we can put out there. So we've designed it and we understand what it's going to take. It's going to be between 425 and 450 lights for the active adult and the primary residential.
200
Could you
and some
box?
odd on top of the regular.
Recognized, Mr. He's been waiting to be recognized.
Thank you, sir. The life of the light is 4,000 cycles per the manufacturer, approximately 10 years. So that means that in 10 years, they're going to have to change everything and put new light there. I've kind of the same concern that Mayor Brown about what's going on. What we have seen all these years, a bunch of companies involved in Green New Deal, like they call it, going belly up and disappear. So that's the first concern. If that company disappeared, where are we going? My second one is that the light we're talking about, it's kind of a relatively new product. It's a one-year-old product. So the picture they were showing us, it's a different product. And actually in Florida, that was put on by D.R. Horton, who's building here too. So you say they're going to be connected. Again, I'm not really inclined to give that power to someone who's going to be, I don't know where. Because the company is in Florida, but they can maybe get the service somewhere else to make sure the connection system work. And the other stuff I'm wondering, and that's more on the legal part, is that generally when we accept a road, we accept the lights too. So, I mean, we're gonna get a road without accepting the lights, and now who's gonna enforce if lights don't work and the company is behind for any reason, and now we have lights not working for a certain amount of time, how we make that work? I like the idea that that's not going to cost the city money on the front. That was on one of your PowerPoint stuff. No money for us. But again, if something goes wrong, where, what protects the money? So I would be inclined personally to do that if we had a chunk of money put us up front, stay with the city to cover our cost if something goes wrong, if the company disappeared, and because legally to do that, that's gonna give you some work, Susan, because that's gonna have to be tied, because again, now you're in charge of Nexus, but we have seen that many times, that the developer is going to sell a piece of the development to another party, and now we have an agreement with you who's going to go to the other guy. If they don't agree with it, you have to change things. So I like the idea, but I think the way I will be okay with it is to make sure we have some kind of bond who's big enough to cover any replacement if we have to, and to have a really solid contract to cover the city and the taxpayer money in case something goes really wrong. That's how I see it.
Clive, did you have a question? You forgot it. Who else? Okay, how do y'all want to proceed at this point?
I think we need more information on this. 3 years to me is not very long in the solar business. What do they do besides solar? Did they buy somebody out and become a solar company, or did they start from ground up?
The recovery, the energy, the solar company itself, they've been in the solar industry for many years. I'm just talking in regard to Coulter Land, which is a development company. We're not in the solar business. This is not our, our solar light.
They've been using solar lights
We have
for
just
3
been
years. The
utilizing-
company
I thought you
has-
were talking about his company. He didn't know solar company. Solar
No,
company's
you
been-
asked them how long they had been using solar lights, and they said 3 years. But this company predates that, but I don't know
Right.
about what period of time.
Right. This company does, solar fields. I mean, they do not only streetlights, but they do a lot of different things as well. And, if the city wanted us to put up a letter of credit for the amount on the north, that's fine. We can do that for the amount of the lights that are currently designed for GDE. And then when it's fully built out, we'll reserve money through the HOA and at that time, we'll fund whatever the letter of credit is. And
I do think the letter of credit would satisfy that one concern of Mr. Javance's. I think that should satisfy that concern if Coulter is willing to do that.
yeah,
Add that to our master letter of credit.
we would put it on the master letter of credit.
I'm not for it or against it, but I think we need to get with, like Linda said, our electric company and see if they have any statistics or results that they've heard about.
I will, I'll speak with the electric company and have them send an email out that expresses their interest, their concerns, and their thoughts on this. Also, Mr. Gibbs will get us the information on this company, allow you to, the solar company, allow you to do your deep dive research on that also.
I would like to make a
Possible.
motion to bring it to the next work session so they give us a little more time and to see what GD thinks about it and maybe go drive back there and see with our own eyes what's going on.
Second.
Motion and second for the next work session. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, see you next
Thank you.
work session. Thank you. Appreciate all the information, Mr. Gibbs. and
Thank you, ma'am.
Look forward to learning
I'll
more.
get you the information.
Appreciate it. Item 2 is the presentation and discussion of the findings of an annexation study for 5 parcels totaling 86.82 acres north of Vietnam Veterans Boulevard and southwest of Big Station Camp Boulevard. Mr. McCord, City Planner.
Bill McCord, City Planner. 2 weeks ago, we had a resolution for consideration by the committee to allow the applicant to submit a petition of annexation or an application form to annex 86.5 acres of property on the west side of Big Station Camp Boulevard. That item was deferred by the council until we had this presentation on the annexation study. The way we do annexations now, it's, we don't really have a lot of detailed information on redevelopment or developments of property associated with an annexation. And in this case, there is none. So this involves 5 different properties, again, 86.5 acres. It is designated in our comp plan as general urban. It is adjacent to PGC zoning on the east, southeast side of the property and R6 zoning on the north side, and a little bit of MRO zoning where the school, Station Camp School Complex is on the north side as well. And of course, it's in our urban growth boundary, and it's kind of like an enclave surrounded by the city and the urban growth boundary. So these property owners are asking to be annexed into the city. If you're inclined to move forward with that, you want to make a motion then to continue that resolution, and that will appear on a future council meeting. As it relates to the annexation study, again, we don't have a whole lot of information. We have information on the tax generation that it would provide if it were annexed into the city. The 86 acres would generate about $5,500 in revenue to the city. A lot of the city services are being provided in the immediate area and to the adjacent properties as it is now. Electric service would have to be switched over to Gallatin Electric Service, but that's common with all annexations that we have. Usually it's either Cumberland Electric or maybe Nashville Electric Service, and once it's annexed, those would be then converted over to GDE. So there's not a whole lot I can report because there's not a lot of information. Most of the past annexations we had came with some kind of development proposal, and we could provide a better estimate of tax revenues that we would derive based on their proposed development plan. Here, we're just relying upon what's there on the properties now. The propensity for rezoning the property at a future date is probably high, being in that corridor. Keep in mind that when those properties do redevelop, they'll be subject to the Big Station Camp Boulevard Transportation Improvement District, so that will kick in. And so if it goes commercial, if it goes commercial or multifamily or something of that sort, they'll be contributing to that Transportation Improvement District in addition to the taxes that they would generate. It might be a prudent thing to consider when a zoning does come in, if assuming the council does move forward with the annexation, that another assessment can be done, or a revision to this assessment can be done to derive what those taxes might be.
Thank you. Mr. McCord, I know we had this discussion somewhere at some point. Are 1 and 5 the ones that are currently contiguous?
Yeah, I had a map up here 2 weeks ago that indicated the properties. Parcels 1 and 5 are currently contiguous. 2, 3, and 4 are not, but they're contiguous to the 1 and 5.
So would the way that we proceed have to be 1 and 5 and then 2, 3, and 4?
Yeah, and that could be done simultaneously. We would have a reading for,
No, 1 and 5 have to come in first.
okay, can't then. You'll have to wait and exhaust, I guess, 1 and 5 and then come in.
I mean, I think
Completely
the
new with the others.
annexations,
follow the ball,
I think the annexation study, I mean, it can be the same information again for those, but I just think, I don't want to get anything sticky, and so I wanted to clarify that for certain.
Okay. Well, we'll certainly need to.
That is what we
let
had
the
discussed,
property
that
owners
1 and
know
5 would have to come in first. Because the others are not contiguous, so we would
Well,
have.
what I want to understand then is if we move forward with parcels 1 and 5, and this body passes a resolution to adopt 1 and 5, can at that same meeting 2, 3, and 4 be considered at a future, could be the next item on the agenda?
I feel like at the permission to apply stage that we're at, we can look at them comprehensively. But legally, for it to just be our authority, 1 and 5 have to come first, 2, 3, and 4 have to follow.
I suppose we could do a separate resolution for each one.
Well, but they're going to be considered, because they have to be considered differently. So I feel like 1 and 5 have to go the path followed for contiguous annexation first, followed by 2, 3, and 4, which would then be contiguous.
Right.
And so
Could
that
that occur at
means,
the same meeting?
huh?
Could that occur at the same meeting?
I do not think so.
I would not advise that, no. And I thought we had already discussed that and that was agreed
Because the
upon.
consideration is different. I mean, as you can, because it's different processes based on whether it's contiguous or not. So I think the cleanest, simplest thing for the property owners and whomever has 2, 3, and 4 is to let 1 and 5 come first and then 2, 3, and 4 second. The information is the same as we move through it, you know. Study
Okay,
is
I'll
the
do
same.
whatever you direct me to do.
I just don't want us to mess up. That's why I brought that
No,
up.
I don't want it.
So if I was to move to send this to council, I would do it just for 1 and 5? For the whole thing?
I think you could do the whole thing, but we understand that 1 and 5 would have to be first. And then if 1 and 5 are passed, then we would proceed with 2, 3, and 4.
But I move that we send this to council.
Okay, motion by Vice Mayor Love, second by Councilman Hayes. Mr. Javant, you recognize?
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, if we go that way, 1 and 5 first, don't we have to do 2 and 4 and 3 by itself? Because technically, if we do 3 is in the middle, so
I would
3
have
is
to,
going to be
I
9.
would have to see the map.
3 touches 5.
Oh, 3 touching 5.
I would have to see the map to answer that
2
question.
and 4 both touch 5. 2 actually touches 1 and 5. 3 touches 5, and 4 touches 5.
All right, so just a couple of things. Thanks, Bill. I understand that's not an easy one because you don't have any, not really anything. So we're basically in a dark there, except that we know it's going to be developed as, you know, because they will not come here if they were not intending to develop it. People are not going to try to pay more taxes just because they love us. So if they try to annex in a city where they're going to pay more tax, it's because they're going to develop it. So that's
I
going
think
to
that's
come.
probably true at some point in the future, but I do not think it's fair to assign their plans without us knowing them. I happen to know one of the property owners, and I know they don't have plans.
I'm glad you agree with me. It's going to be developed. Thank you. But again, we
don't
get
think
back
she said
to
that.
we get back to the plan of service. Again, we get more vehicle for waste collection, more vehicle in position for public works, more planner, more police. And fire say they're okay with it, but the way we're developing, we're probably going to need more fire there. So again, that's the new way to do annexation, and I don't think it's a great way. We don't have a choice. We have to follow it, but we're going to sign a blank check. So I'm not happy with it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else with any comments or questions? Okay, this is, I guess it now moves forward for us to vote on permission to apply for annexation at the next council meeting. Which was the motion and the second. Motion and second. All in favor of that, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
Okay, please raise your hands if you said no. I heard one over here. Okay, so it passes 6-1.
So,
Item number 3.
Can I get clarification?
Yes.
I'm only bringing one resolution for 2 of the properties at the next council meeting.
I think it's. Correct. Yeah, I think it's okay for all of them to have permission to apply based on that. But 1 and 5 have to go through the annexation process before 2, 3, and 4 can.
And they could all apply. I mean, I think you can take all of these to council next week and they can vote on. If they want to go together, then some are going to have to go under non-contiguous. They can all apply. It's just which process do they want to follow? If they want to follow contiguous, then 2, 3, and 4 are going to have to wait until 1 and 5 are annexed in, if they are annexed in.
We're voting to consider to
Right.
give them permission to apply for annexation.
But they can't happen at the same meeting.
Correct.
When's the effective date of annexation? Just when a vote is I'm just trying to get, I'm going to explain this to my predecessors when they come in. I want to be able to clarify that date. So I'll talk with Susan about it.
Absolutely, you and I can meet.
Thank you. Item 3 is Resolution R2308-74, authorizing the Gallatin Fire Department to apply for the Hazardous Materials Emergency Preparedness Program. Mr. Woodard, Fire Chief Woodard, I'm sorry.
Mayor and council, So the grant we're looking to apply for is the Hazardous Materials Emergency Preparedness Grant through the United States Department of Transportation. It's administered by the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency. We evaluated this grant application and determined the best use of this opportunity would be reimburse the city and fire department for overtime costs associated with personnel serving as instructors for the delivery of these courses. We will not submit a grant request to exceed $10,000, and if awarded, the city would be responsible for 20% of the cost for a maximum of $2,000. Perhaps the most important thing of this is we are not seeking additional funding. We're utilizing existing funds already authorized in our FY24 budget. We're just going to use this to reimburse some of those costs.
Motion to send it on.
Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Love, second by Councilman Hayes. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of moving forward Resolution R2308-74, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Moves along unanimously.
Thank you.
Chief Woodard. Item 4 is a hold harmless agreement with Fairview Plantation HOA for flock safety cameras located in the city right-of-way. City Engineer Nick Tuttle.
The Fairview Homeowners Association approached us about installing a fifth camera in their subdivision. We realized that the other 4 cameras that they have installed in the right-of-way did not have a hold harmless agreement, and so we asked that we had a new hold harmless agreement that included all 5 cameras. These are cameras that actually can be used by our police department to view what's happening or recordings of what has happened in specific areas that the cameras are sitting in. I can share. I don't have it sitting in front of me, but they're all placed at various intersections within the development.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilman Fennell, second by Carter. Is that right? Juvance, okay. Motion by Fennell, second by Juvance. This is the hold harmless agreement with Fairview Plantation HOA. Does it come back to us, or does this just do it when we vote on it tonight?
There'll be a resolution.
A resolution next week?
Allow that.
Or next meeting, I'm sorry. We do
Yes.
not have a meeting next week. All in favor of moving along, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Passes unanimously. Item number 5 is the discussion of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan with Mr. Brown.
Yes, at the last meeting, y'all asked me to get this on the website out to the general public, and we did that. And we've had no response we've had some people talk that likes it and everything, so we're ready to move it on to council for adoption.
Motion to send on.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilman Fennell, second by Councilman Hayes, opening the floor for discussion. I know, are they going to come back and hear, like, because, I've made the suggestion to you about adding like a maintenance plan, a standards manual, inventory controls, and then 2 others I thought of was a goal that the parks become accredited.
That would be separate from this contract here. That would be another contract that we would have to do, the way I understand it. That, I don't think it was included in there as to do any policy plans or whatever.
Well, no, I'm not asking them to do any policy plans. I'm asking them to put within this plan things that we need to establish within our Parks and Recreation system. And then I also thought it would be good to include a goal that we become accredited and to have a Citizens Advisory Committee. And then there were some other comments that were sent to me that I'll share that I just think they were sent to the company, so I thought that they would somehow either propose them or not propose them. I'm not going to go through all of these, but a couple was that, that maintenance and care certainly needs to be a priority. Feel like that the survey was heavily focused on a certain demographic, likely demonstrating that they were the only ones responding, which I said that when they first presented that, when pickleball was the #1 thing. I still feel, I think a lot of us probably agree that we didn't really reach the demographic that we totally wanted to, with the respondents being our younger population that our parks primarily serve. But I think we did good information from them. That, we're looking at $35 million in improvements, which is beyond what we could do. And at some point, this body's going to need to get a realistic list of goals within that plan that we can actually focus upon, because this person didn't feel like some of those were worth pursuing. that our golf course, that when we talk about our revenues, that a lot of our revenue actually comes from the golf course, and that wasn't clear in that wasn't clear in their presentation. Sorry, I'm jumping around here. And that one of the requests was that bathrooms be added at most every location, but that the current bathroom facilities that we have are not usually unlocked, or when they are open, that they are not maintained well. And then the final one that I did think was also a very good one to make sure that we included was that we talked about all the parks that we owned, that we probably needed to specify that the ones that we claim that are on core property are ones that we lease from the core, just to make sure that that is clear in there. So I still feel like there needs to be some refinements within it, but I don't know how you all want to proceed with that. I mean, we could take it as it is and then go through it as a, together in a workshop and say, strike this, add this, that kind of thing, if y'all wanted to do that. But I do want us to get a plan, and I do think that they've done a good job, but I certainly think there's more meat we can add to it, and then there's some things that are probably in there that this body's going to say, yeah, that's probably not something that we're going to spend money on. So, okay.
Thank you, Mayor. I think that's probably like Plan Gallatin that need to be a living document. So there's plenty of things I like. There's things I don't like. I think on the list, there's stuff I think we have nothing to do. The lazy river just cracks me up because I don't think we need a lazy river in our park. That's one of them. But I think we need to approve that document if that's what we're supposed to do legally and start working on putting money toward the park. So because we have been pushing that for a while, and I think we need to approve it and start working on it. If we need to do a list of what we can do, what we can't, and where our priorities are, that's, we each take the book, go for it, submit it, and do a mashup. But I think we need to approve it and start working, spend the money we have to spend instead of pushing it. I don't think we need the consultant to add more or remove things. I think we can do that by ourselves.
I do think, you mentioned Lazy River as an example. If this body's never going to fund a Lazy River, it doesn't need to stay in this plan in 10 years from now saying, they put this in the plan in 2023, and why haven't we put it in yet? And it should be our number one priority. So those are the kinds of things that I think we need to prioritize and really stay on top of, because from year to year, think about pickleball. We didn't know it 5 years ago, and it suddenly became a priority, and we installed courts. And so there's going to be things that we probably want to add and things that we want to take away as we do. So it can't just be passed and stuck on a shelf. It needs to be updated annually. And that's one thing that I was thinking about when I was talking about Citizens Advisory Committee. Thought that could be very helpful in doing that. And that's something that we've continually had brought up to us. So, but it's this body's will how we proceed from here.
I would like to move it into another work session, but I don't know how to do that where we could all give input of things that maybe, to highlight things that really are relevant to what we think we really need to prioritize to do, and things that we could put on, like an A, B, and C level.
Did Wold share with you that they had received comments, or?
Well, this plan was by them. They're the professionals, and they did all the studying, they did all the community meetings or whatever. So they took all that information and developed this plan. I don't think they went to individuals. And then they asked council members or whoever if they had, this has been to y'all, to study to see what, if we wanted to change something or whatever. But through all those, it's like Plan Gallatin or whatever, when they went to all those community meetings, all the surveys and everything, this is what it said. This is what it said.
But right, but I'm
So-
saying about editing the document that's been presented, because,
They will,
but what I'm saying is, did they let you know that they had received comments
All their comments is today, when I asked them today, did they have anything they wanted to change or anything? Of course, you know, their answer was, if someone wants something changed, we can change it, which of
Have
course
they-
anybody can do. But they said that this is the document that they give.
But I mean, we put it out there to get feedback on the document, right?
Yes.
Before we passed it.
Yes.
So my question is did Wald tell you that they have received feedback, or did they say that they had
They have not received any feedback.
Okay, because this was
Today.
copied, the comments that I shared was copied to them. And so I'm concerned that maybe there's some disconnect there, so.
There should be some.
They told me today that they had not had any feedback from anybody, as myself either.
Well, I have a motion and a second to move it on to council. Is there anyone that wants to discuss it further?
I do. I think that we need more, I don't think we really got all of the feedback to the right people. I don't think that enough surveys were sent throughout the city to get the surveys that we need to really make a good evaluation.
Well, I feel like reaching, your target, same that we did when we did strategic planning and Plan Gallatin, reaching that population that is our future population is difficult. Certainly the time we did it is difficult, but I don't feel like it's realistic to think that we can go back and get respondents. But I think if we could continue to do surveys and really target it, I mean, internally within those younger populations, that may help us prioritize as we move forward and do as I'm suggesting, add to our list, prioritize our list, or remove things from our list.
I think the process is, the way I understood it is this is the guide. Once this is adopted, then we can go in there and say, okay, this section says, you mentioned Lazy River, it says it's a high priority. Do we think that's a high priority? Well, not necessarily, so you can drop it down. But this is the starting point, is basically what it is. And of course, there'll be other things, like you said, pickleball. It would be a high priority right now, probably. And I think it's listed in here because everybody's building them. And it's a growing sport. So this is a guide to be adopted and then modified or.
I guess I really wanted those things to be in the plan to begin with, not, just how they present it, we take it. I felt like it needed to be edited and refined, but, I've shared my suggestions. I've shared more suggestions, Mr. Javats.
There are almost 20 pages talking about the community engagement there. And they talk about the surveys. 730 total survey response were collected, representing about 21.2% of the city, approximately 15,000 households. I think it's actually a pretty good 20% on the, I look at the stuff we sent out from who didn't have 20%. I think it's a living document, the same way we have Plan Gallatin, so I don't know how to structure it, if there need to be on a resolution, saying it's a living document. We can amend at any time, but this stuff have been going, for 2 years now? I have heard we need that document to spend money for our parks. The document is here. Let's approve it. Again, go to the council, passed, and we go and we decide, we can all get the input of the park director of what he thinks is the best stuff for us, but I think we need to approve it and start working on that. And
Okay, that's fine. I mean, it's the will of this body. It's just, I find it interesting that we have a document submitted to us for review, and very, very few comments or feedback or suggestions, none from, and I'd already done some stuff before it came to us for,
But no comments.
but anyway, okay.
But
All
there's
right.
all this community engagement here.
I know.
Yeah, but I feel like the responses are indicative of an older demographic being the primary respondents, which would not be unusual, but I just, wish that we had some of that younger demographic represented
I think we
better.
could go by how many leagues we have for different sports, maybe.
Well, I mean, those are the things that, I suggested, yeah. So,
I mean,
I mean,
soccer
like the
seems to
lazy
be the
river, do
most.
you think that that would have been older respondents or not?
no comment.
I'm just saying.
I just got a question for David.
That
Do you know
one
where
responded,
pickleball originated?
Okay,
I know it's
not
big in
relevant to
Florida.
the
I
discussion.
know it's big in Florida, but I do remember reading
But
it.
is that where it started, you know?
I'm not for sure.
Google it.
I was gonna say, would you like me to Google it after the meeting
go
and tell
ahead.
you? I'll be happy
Probably
to.
older tennis.
I did Google it, but I couldn't remember. It was just,
Okay, so
It's
any
huge.
further discussion on whether to move this on to council, which is the motion and the second? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
Passes 6-1.
Okay, and for clarification, so you want a resolution adopting this?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, so
I
we'll
mean, is that,
draft
is
a
that the
resolution.
intention
And-
as,
And put it as a living document we can amend until the next is there.
adopting Parks and Recreation Master Plan? Okay, item number 6, financial reports for August and September. Ms. Nichols.
Yes, ma'am. Financial reports for August and September are included in your packet. As usual, this time of year, our spending outpaces our revenues because property taxes aren't coming in yet, but
They are, Ms. Kittrell reported today. that
They
They're
are.
actually starting to come in. That's exciting.
these are for August and September, so no activity showing on these reports, but everything looks to be normal for this time of year. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Questions for Ms. Nichols? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes the agenda. It brings us now to other business. I do have one item that I want to tell this council about. Excuse me. In speaking with Richard DePriest and trying to tackle, if you will, keeping up with our brush pickup, he believes, and I believe it's certainly worth trying for a year, that we should reduce our bulk pickup to 1 day a month. Put out a lot of education about it. Help people understand that they have to schedule it. They cannot put the items out into the week they are to be picked up. Certainly, there are a lot of HOAs that don't allow bulk placement anyway, so those neighborhoods aren't the problem. But we thought we would go ahead and try once a month next year. That would give us a lot more brush trucks in the rotation, a lot more days. It would also give us some time off to be able to service trucks because we're getting behind on some of the servicing of them, trying to keep up. And he feels like this is going to make the department much more efficient on the brush pickup, which is where the greatest complaints are. I kind of feel like bulk pickup, while I'm grateful that our citizens have that convenience, kind of feel like it's kind of it's not necessarily something the city should be doing, but I'm still glad we're doing it. And I think we should try doing it once a month next year and see how it goes. And so our plan is to put that in the newsletter that's coming out for the city at the end of this month. And then in December, Public Works, the garbage schedule actually goes in there, and we would put it on that as well with the dates for bulk pickup next year. It would be great too if we could also, I'm thinking out loud here, always dangerous, the hazardous waste collection. If we could put that on the schedule for next year too, I think that'd be helpful, if TDEC has it scheduled by then. They tend to do it about the same time each year, but they may not have it scheduled. So anyway, that's what we're planning to do without objection.
Agreed?
Move forward with it.
Are you saying is it flexible? You're saying next year, what, 6 months into it, he discovers a problem, can we change it back?
Well, we could, but we would have already noticed the dates that we would be doing bulk pickup. I think it's going to take quite a bit of education and re-exposure to that. You'll be surprised how many people will be tuned in to the fact that we even do bulk pickup when we do this, because people don't realize we do it. And Richard says that we have a lot of the same people that we pick up from all the time. And then I bet 90% of our customers never have pickup.
would agree with that. I think to answer your question, Mr. Fan, I think if 6 months into it, we've seen it's not working, there's nothing that has to be changed in the code. Our environmental service overview of solid waste disposal form, that's really the only thing that talks about bulk pickup, and that's a living document that can be changed. I can change it weekly, so I wouldn't want to change it during the middle of the year. I think there could be some confusion, but we could.
I mean, we believe it's day-to-day operations, but I wanted this body to be aware, see if you had any opposition to it, and we think it's going to increase efficiencies and.
We're working on getting the calendar, the holiday calendar for next year, and if, just looking at the holidays and the calendar as a whole, it looks like we're gonna get 28 extra days of brush pickup. And I know typically, when one of y'all are calling me, that's what it's about, is brush. So I think this is a good.
Now, we'll do this and we'll have no storms and you, we could
It'll
be.
be brush.
Yeah, so that's the thought. No opposition? We'll move along with that plan then. That's all I have under other business. I'd ask if any member of this body has other business, Mr. Fennell.
Yeah, I would like to do a vote of support for the city of Gallatin to support the Gallatin School projects that they're wanting to do as far as athletics go. I know that Scott Langford is proposed spending $15.9 million for the repair of the infrastructure of some of the school's athletic facilities. I've seen a long time, it seems like Gallatin's always been passed up, even back in the days when I sat on the county commission. And I know that there's been a request and some estimates to go out as far as the bleacher system, resurfacing the track, and I don't know what all else they're wanting to do in Gallatin, but I would like to do a vote of support from this body right here and get the mayor to draft and send a letter up to the commission that we support this. You know, this is our area. This is what we support. This is Gallatin right here. And I just want to show that this body does have support for our Gallatin school system.
Are you including Station Camp because that's a Gallatin
Yes,
school
I
as
am.
well?
So with that, I do propose a motion and do a vote and let Paige draft a letter
They
up.
support the full amount of, I think it's 15 point something.
Well, I do support all the schools, but I really want to try to make sure Gallatin gets what they're wanting
Well, I
to
think,
do.
I'm not trying to word what you want to say, but I am the one that has to write the letter if it passes. I'm thinking like, whatever that dollar figure is, does anybody know it? It's 15.
I think 15. That was 15.8, and last night they passed 8.7.
Okay, so I think what you're saying is that you want a vote of support saying we support the $15.8 million to improve to complete the improvements requested by the Board of Education, including the schools in Gallatin for.
Absolutely. I mean,
I mean.
I second that.
Okay,
That's
motion
great.
by Councilman Fennell, second by Councilman Fan and Carter. And Love. And Love. Okay, everybody say, getting a good indication there of the vote. How about we craft the letter, I send it out. If you think I've said something wrong, you let me know.
would it help for us to all sign that or anything like that?
Good, but I don't know how we're going to execute that.
Okay. I'll leave that up to you.
I mean, I can list the names. You can come by and sign it if you want. I'm actually not going to be here Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday until late, so I'll be working with her remotely to get that written.
Okay. Thank you. We can do the vote.
We're good to vote? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
I'm going to
passed.
abstain.
Oh, okay. 6
Because
for
I-
abstention.
I agree with pushing our schools, but I think we should stay with Gallatin and try to get the best we can for Gallatin. And again,
Gallatin.
That's a Gallatin school.
Gallatin and Station Camp are both Gallatin schools.
yeah, that's what I say. I say I'm for sending a letter to get the amount for our schools. I'm not for everybody. I don't think we should.
Comprehensive schools, yeah.
Well, and just to throw this out there, folks, but with that letter, I think it's better what we said at first, because we have to understand to get the best for our Gallatin schools, we do have to think about and consider that amount that they're asking for everybody,
What other
for all
schools?
schools. Because we do have our students in all schools.
Well, and
yeah,
also
we're
I think the
Gallatin
priority
council members.
probably is beach where they filled out.
Right.
So I get
Mayor,
that too.
and I don't know if you guys heard this or not, and I don't know who made the comment, and I wasn't in attendance for any of the meetings. Maybe Mr. Councilman Javance can shed some light on this, but somebody spoke that I was told that spoke in front of the county commission, and I think one of the requests was a scoreboard for the city of Gallatin, and somebody spoke up and said that we didn't need a scoreboard because our students couldn't read or write. That's just awful. Did that happen, Pascal?
That was chaotic. The first budget meeting was really hard to follow because the room was packed. And there was people outside. I was outside. I could not even get a seat. And when that got done, they went to the full commission, and that was brushed to. They have a special commission meeting next Monday just for that. So that's going to come next Monday. All I know is that they lower the amount to 8.7, I think,
Only- so we only address the
8.75.
bleachers.
Right.
And to start, and that passed for free, I think. And that was to start to basically repair and rebuild the bleachers and to have time to look at the extensive list of requests after, so.
Hey,
And that number includes nothing for.
I'm going to really try to go to that Monday night, and I encourage.
I'm going to too.
Yeah, you don't think the quarterback club could get us some green shirts to wear?
The chamber could. Planning commission is that night. Mr. Fennell, do you know if that comment was made on the record?
You know, I don't know, but I'm sure it can be found on social media, and I'm not a social media guy, nor do I get on it, but I'll ask around, see
I wouldn't mind.
if I find out who said that.
I wouldn't mind sending my own personal letter if I were to learn
That's
that that were
awful.
the case.
That's
So-
really
If
is.
that was on a record, it's on the tape, they record the meeting, so that's.
But it could have been somebody in attendance that
Yeah.
said it. It may not have been a,
Yeah,
Well,
that could have been a kid too.
Excuse me?
no, I was just gonna say, in response to that, students from Gallatin High School do read, write, and comprehend very well. I'm a proud graduate of 2009, and I graduated from college with honors as well. So we do read and write.
You left out arithmetic.
We can do math as well.
And that could have been, that could have been a kid from another school too, because the room was packed of kids.
I understand.
Who knows, but
Started most every program that there is in Sumner County Schools at Gallatin High School.
We're very intelligent.
And we're still doing
Just
that.
saying.
We still are doing it.
And Sean, I will reach to,
Police programs.
I will reach to commissioner, we're on the first row there, and ask them if there was a comment like that, and I will shoot you an email if that happened.
Okay, let's move along. We've passed that. Any other business?
Oh, for me. I invite you all to attend a trunk or treat event. I've partnered with Subaru of Gallatin, and we're going to host a spooktacular trunk or treat event from 5 to 8 on Tuesday. So you all are welcome to bring your children and grandchildren out.
And
They
I'm
must
so
be trying to-
sorry, Angela didn't get that on the list of events.
No, it's my fault. I forgot to tell her to put it on.
I was going to say, they must be trying to sell you a car.
No, my car's paid off, and I'm not getting a new one for 15 years.
Okay. What? Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm just passing you some pictures and concern of one of constituents they were thinking actually that was sent to me by a county commissioner on my district. She received it for a constituent actually inside Gallatin. It's on Needs Lane, where it looks like there is a really dangerous curve. And that constituent regularly get cars through his driveway, his wall, his mailbox, because there is basically no signage at that curve, and people who don't know arrive.
Have you reached out to engineering about it?
I'm going to talk, but
Yeah,
I want you
that'd be the
guys to be
first step.
aware about it.
First step, okay. Anyone else with any other business? All right, department head reports. Oh, Ms. McCauley has something.
There we go. If you will remember, a few months ago, Ashley's Place came before this body and gave you several different projects that they were wanting to do to improve our building, and you approved those. They've contacted me. They also want to replace a fence that is on the property. It's very dilapidated, and they want to replace that with some funds they have coming in. They are working with planning to get a fence permit, but I need to get that approved by this council for them to move forward.
They're paying for it?
Yes, they're paying for it.
Then I motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Love, second by Councilwoman George. Any questions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Passes unanimously. They have our permission to do that. Any other department heads with reports this evening? Seeing none, you know what the appropriate motion might be.
Motion to adjourn.
Carter, second by Councilwoman George. All in favor say aye. Everyone have safe travels this evening. Have a good rest of the week. Do something kind. Huh?